Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Selena, and this is You Plus Happy. Each week, I bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on our own terms with a dose of laughter. Remember to like and subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. This week we have Slater Colt, CEO and manager of multimedia entertainment and record label company called Lucid Entertainment, spelled LCD. Welcome to the show, Slater.
Thank you, Selena. It's so awesome to be here. You Plus Happy.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could be here. So we'll just jump right in. How did you get started?
Oh man, so great question. Definitely was a series of steps of a personal journey to figure out, more or less not just what I was called to do in life, I guess what I was meant to do in life, living with purpose and just saying, okay, I had just graduated college in 2018 as a software engineer and was able to get my first full-time job, and I really felt, I guess, God kind of pulling my heart saying, you're meant to do more than even just this. And coming from a place where success wasn't guaranteed in any shape or form, even making it there, I had a lot to be grateful for, but I knew I had to find myself, get right with God, really figure out what I was meant to do. And so I set out on that journey in 2018. I'd say by the end of 2019, I started finding my friends who were really meant to be there for me. And by beginning of 2020, we were already kind of dabbling in music a little bit. COVID inevitably happened. During that time, we just took time for ourselves and just had fun with it. But by the time COVID started opening up, especially in Tampa, Florida, we had grown from 2 or 3 of us, and there's 8 of us now, all hanging out, sharing music. I'm not a musician or artist myself. I write poetry here and there, but overall, I work with phenomenal singers, rappers, dancers, everything, where I'm wow, I can organize us, pull things together, and make things happen. And I think it was just a random day. And one of my brothers I grew up with, his name is Lucas Gomez. He's incredible. His artist name is Louis LG. He said, Slater, when are we starting the next Young Money? And I was staring at my apartment floor, and I was why not right now? We have 12 of us ish, and we're all highly talented. We get along great. We've known each other for quite some time now. Some of us are very new, but I just got to writing, and I ended up writing a whole 4-year plan. And even leading up to that 4-year plan, I got into a boating accident. I destroyed my shoulder, and this was Labor Day 2020, whatever holiday is in September. Labor Day, yeah. And I remember just being in a whole sling with my arm, in a sling, and I was thinking man, I want to see the world, but I don't want to see it when I'm old and gray and in a wheelchair. I want to see it while I'm young, while I'm able to do things, while I'm able to still create change and inspire and impact people. And so I just, from studying Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, Nipsey Hussle, just a lot of people I've always grown up with and looked up to, a lot of them all said the same thing. A lot of them all wrote a 4-year plan for themselves, and it wasn't even so much that the 4-year plan happened. It was more or less that on your way to success, by having just outrageous goals for yourself, you end up seeing larger than life things happen within your life. You're whoa, this is very real. Opportunities here. Your mind shifts in a way where you start thinking seeing things way differently, and just abundance basically starts flowing all around you. And so I was cool, here's how the next 4 years are gonna go, here's how we're gonna organize. And I remember calling a team meeting. We were not called Lucid, I think our group chat name was Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
It was we had some WhatsApp group chat with all of us. It was funny, but I said, hey guys, come to my apartment, we're gonna have a team meeting pretty much. And so it was November 2020, and I read 8 pages in my notebook, all 4 years, hey, this is how it's gonna go. You guys will be the artist, the team, I'll be the manager, and we're gonna work it from there. And everyone was yeah, I'm entirely down. And I was cool. And I felt kind of in awe because, especially I think growing up with such so for me to say a small voice, I don't think I've ever been the one in charge of everything overall.
Mm-hmm.
But being that position, it made sense, but I also trusted the people who were with me, and that was definitely super, super vital. And so having that confidence, say, okay, I got y'all's back, y'all got mine. we just set out and said, cool, come January 1st, 2021, we're gonna start this. Like when you're off of work, like this is what we're planning ourselves to do, this is what we're doing. We're gonna navigate through Tampa, do this, that, and third, start expanding to other states, and then even other countries, and just grow.
So wait, how did you? There's a lot. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah,
a lot of
no,
follow-up
go for
questions.
it. Yeah, go for it, please.
How did you? No, wait. So how did you know you wanted to make a change?
Oh man,
Like all the way back, because you went to school for software engineer, so that's completely different. I mean, I'm sure some of those skills may help in some way.
Yeah,
but
yeah, a little
this
bit.
wasn't your vision back then, right?
So
when you chose software engineer,
right, I was like, cool, I'm
Okay.
gonna be an artist manager and work in music. No, but music did save my life, and you know, my background growing up, which is something I'm still learning how to even open up and like talk about in different ways. It was definitely from a very, very dark place. That doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but when you have like an unstable environment, you know, both on the outside and the inside, and then between moving different houses, not having like a good like family structure, to having to be the one to provide answers and come up with answers for people who are supposed to be taking care of you and raising
outside
you.
and inside, you out
Yeah,
in the world,
out
and
in the
your
world
home.
and in house. It was just
Okay, I didn't know if you meant the inside of yourself.
well, a lot of things I figured out along the way too. So I'll say that much. But no, definitely like I was blessed to be in the same household as my grandparents growing up. But there's times when like me and my mom like we would almost be homeless out in like Las Vegas or like different parts where we'd live with either my aunt and uncle and their family, or like I would live in a Section 8 or a group home. And like so there's just these different things. While me and my mom did not have the best relationship growing up, it caused us a lot of conflict, like daily. So yeah, for years. So no, music was definitely like, to say it was my escape. Like it was music, it was art, it was entertainment, it was anywhere my mind could escape to say I'm not here, I don't have to be here, or these people I'm seeing them looking to as my heroes, like they overcame certain odds that I can overcome too. And I remember I just getting a point where I'd be laying in my bed at night, like on my phone, just like I'd be studying, I guess, the lives of artists, right? Like how did they go from where I'm at to where they're at? And something even had far less than I did. So how did they go further? And so I remember just becoming like obsessed with that point of just like, how do I get out of my situation? I wasn't the best at school. I was taking really challenging classes to get ahead, but it wasn't necessarily about school. It was like either like there's like a Coop Bureau in class. I was like, oh, I gotta take that honors class or AP class or whatever it was, or I just want to be with my friends. And I always like either kind of be the smartest person or just learning more. I like learning, but I was never good at school, I guess. So I always had like a 3.0, 2.8 GPA, like however I could make it work. And as senior year of high school approached, I didn't know if I was going to go to college or not. Like my family did not have money. Like if I were to go to community college, I just wouldn't know what I was going for. Like they didn't have anything that piqued my interest. And like one day I woke up, winter break senior year. I was like, I'm gonna be a computer engineer. I didn't even know what that word meant. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, cool. I like technology. I like how things work. I'm always down to learn more. And so I started like looking at USF, so University of South Florida, and it was like $120,000 for tuition for 5 years to be an engineer, and it was some outrageous number. And I was like, all right, I can't even afford like $20,000. Like, you know, like here we are. So you know, I didn't have no credit or nothing really to my name like that. But what happened was spring semester started in high school, you know, last year, and my buddy Steven, he said, hey, like, do you know we're going to college yet? I'm like, no. He's like, well, there's this new university opening up in the fall. The first 500 students to get in get a free ride all the way through. And I was like, I got to apply now. And so I did, and you know, it's like, hey, you got to pass the ACT, SAT. And the thing is, I didn't pass the ACT or SAT. Like, I had like below average scores, which is weird because on the practice exams, I got near perfect scores, but on the actual exams, did not pass. I did not get like bright futures or nothing. And so what happened though was they accepted me because I've been taking college classes all along in high school. And even though I was getting like B's and like C pluses, B minuses, B pluses, A minuses, they said, you don't have to take a college readiness exam. You've been taking college classes all along. You can have college credit now. So I was like, sweet. So I was like student number like 287, and they said, "Yeah, all 4 years covered. You just gotta, maintain a 3.0 GPA." I was like, "Cool." And so whatever I did, like there's a point I was like living out of my car, working 2 jobs, like traveling 100 miles a day. So I lived in Wesley Chapel, and the school was based in Lakeland, and so I had to work in Wesley Chapel, and work in Lakeland at times, and go to school in Lakeland. So that was a 50-mile distance, and so sometimes I would have class at 8 a.m., be done by 3, have work at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., and then work until 1, and then have class again at 7, 8 a.m. And so I would just make things work where I'd either sleep in my car, or if my buddies, I could be in their dorm room, just on the couch and like not upset their roommates, I would make it work. And no matter how hard the class was, if I had to study for 12 hours just to get it, like just get my reps in, like I just trained myself to focus and pay attention. If I had like sleep inside like the school office building and like underneath the desk where like the lights would stay on, like I would, just to make sure I got it and passed. And so like I said, I graduated computer engineering, but overall, like I knew something more was speaking to my heart, but I still made it work.
You so there's a lot there, but
quite a bit.
A lot there. Because you already answered any follow-up questions that I would have had of like, you didn't. It just sounds like you just did whatever you needed to do. Like there was no time for feeling sorry for yourself or excuses or it was just go mode. Like hyper focused, wanted to get out of your situation, and you just wanted to be in a different
environment, different place in my life. And it's something that I hadn't been able to see for myself up close all that much, unless it was someone else's family or just someone else entirely.
And it sounds like, because I was going to ask questions about living in your car, but it sounds like it wasn't even, you weren't thinking about living in your car. You were thinking about what you needed to do.
Yes, at all times. Because it was like, I would literally like, I remember like there'd be times like, when like laying down, say like, you're rolling your like chair back and like, all right, like I got 4 hours of sleep and then I got another full day tomorrow, like whatever it is. Like I remember I would meditate on music and like I would listen to like either like Kendrick Lamar, like Eminem, Tupac, whoever it was. And just listen to their words and just figure out like how did they get to where they're at, where it's like they were clearly here and then they got here. And even when they went through challenging times when they had it good, how did they still overcome that to get further beyond? And I would just find inspiration in music and inspiration in their words, and things would just speak to me where I was like, okay, like I gotta figure this out. I'm not necessarily living like a life in the streets. I'm not necessarily like dirt poor, even though I am like living paycheck to paycheck. I might even be paycheck and a half ahead. Like I'm making it work. And so I definitely did that for my first year of college. After that, I was able to leave home at 19 years old. I call it running away, but it's really just whole life situation with my mom happened where I was like, cool, like I can go. And I ended up moving in with roommates, and I was able to just take care of my corner. Yeah.
But you were running away, you were making a decision that was best for you. Like, it doesn't matter. I feel like sometimes we feel obligated, this is a quick aside, sometimes we feel obligated to stay around our families. But if they're still people. And if you gotta get away, you gotta get away, period.
Yeah, very, very much. It was, there was definitely a lot of, like, court, like, I'm gonna say a lot of court stuff that was going on in my, like, family's life at that time. And like I said, when I say I had the opportunity to like leave, like got in there within an hour, had all my stuff packed, gone, like, and numbers were blocked, everything else, and I didn't talk to certain people for over 2 years because I was like, I gotta focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm so, not that you need me to say this, but like I'm so proud of you for not for just, even though it's family, cutting them off, because you hear people wrestling with that because they are family. Okay, so you did go through that.
Well, no, like what I'm saying is like I've seen people struggle with that for years.
Yes, and they know they need to cut these people off. And you're just holding back the inevitable and just doing more and more harm and more damage, right? So I'm like, that's inspiring to me. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody, but I'm just saying, when it's time to cut the cord, it's time to cut the cord.
Yeah, no matter what it is, like abusive relationships, abusive people in your life, like people that don't even want the best for you, or even people like you dragging you down. Like, don't be afraid to cut people off and leave, because it's not necessarily running away. Sometimes it's giving you like, you gotta move to a space where you can breathe. And if you can't breathe like properly, it's like what's breathing properly? Like right? You let your like breath like rattling, shattling, all that other jazz, right? It's like if you can't do that, you're probably not in a good space.
Yeah, and you can't make you
Good
can't
decisions.
think. You can't make it right exactly. And so
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been there. I've been there where it's like I cannot think in this environment. I can't function. I can't be. I'm only surviving. Like this is the only thing I'm doing in this space.
Yes.
And it's a really hard feeling. And so, but going back to what you said of so when you moved from how did you, because you said you took some time to discover that you wanted to work in the
entertainment
industry. So how did you come to that decision, or were you inspired by the people you were around? Or?
Yeah, I mean it was a lot of everything. So 2018, like I had a major breakup with my girlfriend at the time. And she was incredible, just wasn't for me pretty much. And we've been together 6 years, and I was like, I realized a lot of things I'd gone through growing up turned into PTSD. I actually had trauma responses, and you know, I ran away home at 19, so at this point I was like 21, I guess 22. These are things I just didn't understand, because you can only interpret so much from music without talking to other people, and anyone else I would talk to who could relate to me, they also had problems that we just weren't aware of. We were too young at the time to really understand it. And so I ended up going therapy for like maybe 2 or 3 months at the time, and I just learned to journal, like learn to study myself. So that's really what I did. I think I used all of 2018 to just hit the gym, work on myself, like refactor my friend group pretty much, like who I was hanging around, just expanding, I guess, my personality, how I saw the world. And then 2019, that just continued blossoming even more. And so I was reconnecting with old friends, becoming the new me. And along the way, like, it's funny. I would share like music I would listen to, like to my Instagram story a lot, and I would always see these memes on Twitter, like, oh, don't you hate that person who always shares their music to the Instagram story? Like, no one cares. However, on my end, I get so many DMs from people saying, Slater, like, we love your music taste, like, you're putting on the great artists, like, new music all the time, like, it's, you know, it's awesome. So I was like, oh, like, cool, I'm gonna keep sharing music I listen to, because I always enjoyed finding artists that, not say like no one's heard of, but just artists that spoke to me. You know, no matter what shape or form their music might be in, or what shape or form even my like emotional health might be in, mental health, like wherever I might be in life, like if it speaks to me, it speaks to me. And you can only listen to the same type of music so much, so you gotta keep finding new things. So at some point, I met Nani. He's one of the artists even on the team now, but his name is Daniel, and we went to the gym together, and he said, Slater, you listen to a lot of different music. Like, I really respect that. I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over. Can you send me some projects? So I was like, sure. So maybe I wrote out like 14 to 18 different albums he could listen to. It was like, here you go. Like, listen to these. I think you'll get a good grasp of different stuff. And I don't know how many really made it through, but he's like, Slater, like, I really appreciate what you're showing me. Like, I actually record music myself. Would you mind like coming over and, you know, tell me what you think? And I was like, okay. And so I went over to his place, and he had a whole recording set up. Like, he had like a little mattress on the floor. Like, he was living pretty like humbly and modest too, and you know, still living with parents and stuff. And so he pressed play on what he recorded, and he had like a very magnificent voice. It was like Miguel, Chris Brown. Like, he could sing. I was like, you know, short like going to church and hearing the choir sing, or like, you know, the vocalist. It's like I hadn't really heard someone sing like that in front of me. I was like, wait, that was you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, pause it. He's like, can you do that right now? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you sing right now? And he's like, that's a note. I'm like, I don't care what it is, dude, sing. And he just like did a little run. I was like, holy crap, like that's incredible. Because for me, when I hear sound, when I hear music, like it's like color kind of fills my mind, and I just see color everywhere, and it's like, it was so vibrant. It's like reds, purples, blues, like a lot of hues everywhere.
Okay.
And you know, I could just keep going, but in terms of working with artists, I've always been helping my friends make music since probably middle school. Like anyone who could rap, I'm like, hey, like Mark the Prophet, he's also on the team. I was there when I found him on Twitter, and I was helping him like stay on topic for like, all right, stay on topic for 4 bars, now 8 bars, like, and expand from there. So I didn't know that was artist development from like an early age, but to me it was just like I pay attention to music so much. I'm like, cool, like you can do it. Like not everyone can do that. So if you're gonna do it, make something of yourself, while you're going at it.
That's why it's called lucid, because you see colors when you hear music.
No,
Oh.
but that's amazing. That's the first time I've heard that question. No. So lucid, to lucid dream means whenever you're in a dreaming state, you're actually aware that you're dreaming, and you can take control of your dreams. So when we think about our dreams that we have within our life, it's not so much on the control aspect, but so much of the, I guess, commandeering to say no. Like life doesn't have a hold on me. Like I, have a hold on my life. Like I own my life. Like my choices are my own, and what I want my life to be will be that.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. That's way better than what I just.
I mean, colors is great. I'm like.
You like when he sing.
We like colors. Like colors ain't rap, but no.
Because music was inspiring. And when you hear music, you see colors.
Yeah.
So cause lucid. Okay.
That makes sense now. Yes.
All right, way off
there.
That's
amazing. No, that's
way
great.
Off.
That's one to keep.
I'm glad I asked. Some clarity here. And when you first told me about lucid, and you said that you started it with to people who have become your friends, and you talked about trust. How did you know you could trust them?
Oh man, I mean, from being surrounded by people you can't trust, to how to navigate those environments.
Okay.
Yeah, to having to do things that may have been untrustworthy in those environments, while still keeping your integrity for what you had to do. It gives you eyes to see, right? And so when you see people who may or may not know otherwise, you can trust them, and anything that they may do or not do, for you or against you, it's not from a malicious place. You're very much okay, some people may just act out of ignorance, and that's not bad.
Okay.
Right? So when I said I could trust my friends, they were all growing too, just as I was, but I at least saw that ahead of time, no, everyone has really good hearts here. And that's to me a huge defining factor for who I associate with and who I like to be around and involve my life in.
Yeah, and because of and you have that that knowledge because of your past, and you know what it looks like when the opposite end.
Yes.
So you can trust your judgment because of your past.
Yes.
Okay, because everybody doesn't have that. Because I was going to ask, what are the signs of trust? How do you trust someone? Listen, I have my own set of stuff.
It's a feeling sometimes. It's a look. It's maybe a set of words someone says. It's well, you wouldn't know that unless you have been through something, or what would kind of trigger that reaction. There's certain things you live in life where if you know, and if you don't, hey, nothing held against you.
Yeah. So you just pay attention
to everything,
and then you'll watch, and then you're okay, I feel, and then my gut is telling me, my heart's telling me, and I'm sure God too is
yes, very much.
Because I'm listening to you, and I talked to you before today, and I know you mentioned God a lot, so I figured that was an entity. I don't
it's like a presence, like a feeling, right? It's how does God speak to you? It's like warm feelings in this direction. It's all right, it makes sense. And no, I mean, I can't say how God works in any other aspect than what I know, because it's just my life. But definitely, when things make sense, it's always for you to take action on. And sometimes you gotta ask yourself, when you have an idea, what do you regret not taking action on that idea? And if the answer is yes, it's well, one promise that I made to myself back in 2018 was I don't want to live a day where I regret not doing something. I don't regret anything that I have done or have said or anything of that nature, no matter what seat it lands you in, because I would rather speak my truth, say what was on my heart, than to have held my tongue back and let something pass by me. And so again, to me, that just comes with living life and trusting God. And I believe also trusting yourself too. A lot of people don't trust themselves, and because they don't trust themselves, they don't know how to trust other people. That's a huge thing I see.
Such a good way to say that.
Oh, thank you. It shows me how naive people can be. Again, not a problem, but say you're making a business plan or a game plan, and it's not that risky to you because you've seen way riskier things. But it's all relative. So if one of your new business partners that you're I really like this person, I want to do business with them, blah, 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 blah. Well, if they don't have the same level of risk, or they haven't experienced as much, say loss or hardship, then you're 15% might be their 80%, and it's like, oh, like, if this is gonna be that big of a deal, like, we don't gotta do it. Like, it's not that big of a problem on my end, so I'm gonna make it happen regardless. But with that said, like, there's also things I've had to learn in this journey that while my past has helped me get up to speed on, for sure. I mean, and they're not gonna teach you how to do, like, put business on a document, like, know when, hey, it's my turn, your turn, like, what that is worth to this, or that, and the third. And so these are things that you just learn along the way.
I love that you had that frame, like you're giving people grace of like, I know that this isn't a big risk for me because of my past or whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then this person you respect, like, almost putting yourself in their shoes, even though you can't fully, but like, okay, this person has a different background, so this is a bigger risk for them, so I respect that. I've never looked at like that. I'm like, I. We gotta do this. And, like, push them. Like, we're gonna do this or else.
Or just don't be here.
Right.
I find that is a valid way to go about life. Like, it all just depends on what you want your outcome to be and how you want your journey to look like, right? So it's like, if I want to grow an empire, well, my empire must consist more than me, myself, and I. Immediately, I'm probably going to have to compromise with people to make things happen, as long as we have the same goal. I believe, like, they say business relationship, especially between like a manager to artist or even just two business partners, is very much like a marriage, right? And when you think about marriage, it's a lot of communication, openness, vulnerability. Like, hey, I'm afraid of this happening, so can we please do these actions to make sure that doesn't happen, so we don't fall into this behavioral cycle, right? And when you can both communicate at that level and it's understood and respected, that's a very, like, I can't even call it like a holy thing. Like, it's very rare. Especially in the world of business, even though you can look right outside these windows and see all these businesses are here, right? These are all partnerships. These are all people sitting in rooms saying what they're going to do and not do.
Yeah.
And it comes with a level of maturity, comes with a level of instinct, comes with a level of experience that not everyone has. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I love that. Having been in business with someone, I looked at the business, because especially when you start it yourself, and it's your first one, it feels like your babe, like your child.
Yes,
and
very
so it's
much.
really hard to make compromises because you're like, I know what's right for my baby.
I don't like making compromises.
This is my baby too, and I know what's right for the baby.
Yes.
And I love what you said about trust too, of like trusting yourself. And so, have you always trusted yourself, or how did you get there?
That's a great question. I think when life punches you in the face enough, you learn to like dodge, or you learn to hit back. And when you realize, like, oh, I can hit back, like, and it's not always the right answer to hit people back. All right, let's remove people from that. It's always right to hit back, but when you realize you can, though, you're like, okay, like, there's nothing you can really do to me that I probably haven't done to myself, or that I haven't already, at least I've experienced in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's like stabbing me in the back, to betraying me, to lying in my face, to stealing everything I have and running with it, like, it's not even my job to get you, I'm gonna get mine regardless. And so, to me, it's always like, understand what your corner is, and understanding that, like, yeah, when people try and coach you in your corner, you know what that looks like. And when you catch that behavior immediately, it's like not even to watch out for that person anymore, but it's like you put up your boundary. When you put up boundaries, people respect you way more.
Yeah.
And if you don't know your boundaries, people will walk all over you day and night. And so, when you are growing, a team and group of people, you try to keep everything like level-headed, but sometimes it's very easy, if someone like drags things to the bottom, it's like, all right, if you want to go bottom, I guarantee you my bottom's deeper than your bottom. If you really want to go there, we can go there. And but a lot of it, like I said, just comes with maturity and just experience. So you don't gotta make those decisions.
How do you set boundaries? How do you know your boundaries?
Great question. Communication. Right.
How to do with yourself before you even talk to anybody else.
Oh man.
How did they come about internally?
I'd say definitely 2018, 2019 for me personally, of the journaling and studying myself, like my emotions, any like thinking patterns, cycles I might have, like, because I would just go back and revisit it. I'm like, dang, like, all right, maybe it has been 3, 4, 5 months, and like I haven't thought about this thought in a while, but I thought about it today, and I thought about 3, 4, 5 months ago. Like, do I like the fact that I thought about the same thing the same way? Like, am I seeing the growth I want to see? Like, I see tiny differences, but is that enough differences for me to see on my growth? And so when we talk about these boundaries internally, I really base off what makes me comfortable and uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if something makes me uncomfortable, I gotta ask why. Am I being immature?
Yeah.
Is that something that actually crosses my line? Why do I have that line?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I started questioning all these things, even about myself, because I want to make sure, is this a chance for me to grow? Or am I actually seeing something I need to put my foot down on?
Right.
Because I can put my foot down on anything, but if I do that on anything, then nothing's gonna grow.
Right. And you know, I wonder, have you ever experienced this? Like, because I think it is important to study ourselves. For me, I get tired of thinking about myself. Like, I was literally thinking about, when you said integrity, I was like, okay, like this recently I've been really working on like getting a concrete idea of what my values are, because they've changed a bit since when I'm younger.
Of course, yeah.
But I'm like studying myself, and I'm like, I don't want to think about myself right now. I don't want to talk about myself. I'm
Get me
tired.
out of here.
I'm reading. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
Man.
Like, I'm taking quizzes and all this. So I'm just like, do you ever get tired of studying yourself, or is there a good balance in your life so it's okay?
Yeah, these days I have a good balance in my life.
Okay.
It's not like sometimes like this is a happy medium, right? Like too much, too less, or I guess I was a little backwards, but regardless, I guess these days I would dip into like the too less factors. Like I think more about myself, but for sure, if I think too much about myself, I get like nauseous.
Yeah.
It's like, and I have a really big ego. Having a big ego is key and crucial to doing a lot of things in life, but not to such an extent that, again, you're just overriding people. But, nah, I mean, I don't know. So like, I do get tired of myself, but what choice do I have? I wake up on me, I go to sleep on me. Like, you gotta learn to love yourself at every chance and turn you can. And if there's something you don't like about yourself, then ain't no one else gonna fix it for you. Like,
I think it's the work part, like,
yeah.
because like doing the work on yourself, because like you said, you have to study yourself, study how you respond to this, and then whatever is in front of you, like studying yourself in congruency or whatever with that
subject and relation.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. So,
Yep.
doing the work for yourself, it's called work for a reason.
It is work. I love it. It's addicting for me.
I like it, but it's exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, exhausting. Yeah, it can definitely be exhausting. For me, I'd say it's for sure an addiction. Because to me, like, I want to be the best me that I can be, and to that end, like, I just won't stop.
Yeah.
Because I've seen like what the worst side of that is. I've come from where people did not want to be the best version of themselves, or people had a very like perverse thought of what the best version of themselves was. Where it's like, yeah, I'm getting better. It's like, no, you're not. It's actually getting way worse. It's actually detrimental to everyone around you. So, just like I said, a lot of experiences make it, you can't shake it off, you can't forget it, you can't take it out of you. You're just like, I'm wired that way.
Yeah. Wait, I'm curious. What were these people doing? What's an example of like when they're like, I'm getting better, and you're like, no, you're not. Like, they weren't doing better. What's an example?
This might not be legal to talk about.
You don't have to.
But let's just say, you can have certain fights that can escalate to where they're no longer fights. And when this is a daily thing in your household, and it's more of like a survival of the fittest mentality, that's not a healthy environment where you're coming home from school, or adults are coming home from work and they're just at each other's throats with different objects that may or may not puncture different things, right? And when this is a daily occurrence to, you got, I'm gonna say vocal raising matches, right, to keep it soft, until 3 or 4 in the morning every night, just repeatedly, creates a lot of things where you just see a lot of stuff, you're like, this ain't getting better.
I see.
And now you got people intervening who might wear certain uniforms, right?
I love the way you are making this very, not Disney, very...
it works, yeah.
very, what is it, like, not PC. Anyway.
You get it.
Very much so. So it sounds like there were a lot of, I've been using like W's and L's a lot, like a lot of losses and wins. Language, I know that's not language you may use, but what have you would use a nicer word, less than ideal situation.
Yeah, right, interesting predicaments. You're like, well, I didn't have a choice, but I'm here.
With all the, because things can be cycles, right? And then
Yes.
and then we good and bad, and then we can perpetuate situations and blah blah blah. So when you've had a lot of L's or less than predictable,
less than satisfactory predicament.
less than satisfactory predicaments. How do you break that cycle of like, or not letting them? You just stay in that because yeah, you get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, great question, right? These are once you start feeling, you got like trauma responses, right? Like, oh, this is a thing, like this thing got under my skin that happened that wasn't that serious, but it gave me a reaction of when it was serious, right? I'm still learning quite a bit. Like I said, I'm way better than how it was like 2018, 2019, even 2020, but again, come with studying yourself. Like, just understanding, like, there's not a lot of things out there that should get you upset, and the things that should get you upset should be something worth getting upset over.
Okay.
As well as, like, a lot of times, like, feelings of, like, inferiority. Like, you know, especially when you are a kid in a situation, you feel powerless, but you want to, like, gain control. Like, you understand, like, cool, like, your hunger and thirst and ambition might not come from a place that is the most healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, coming to terms with that, I think, is a journey that you have to undertake within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, coming to these terms, it's like, it's gone from, cool, let me get out of my environment, right? So that's more of like a survival thing.
Right.
To now, like, okay, like, how can I make the world a better place? How can I save the next kid? How can I, like, you know, if I can dance a certain way without saying any words, and you get what I'm saying, right? That's how I did now, the predicaments and stuff, right?
Right.
If I can do this to the next kid who's going through it, can it click for them?
Yeah, but I love that too. Of like, somebody could have went through, like, there's Slater and then there's Sam, right? And then Sam could have went through an identical situation, but Sam could have become a victim of his. You know what I mean? And even if he left the situation,
I grew up with a lot of Sams who aren't here today anymore, right? And it's like, whenever you have those friends who literally aren't around, you can't call them up, like, it's just not an option. And you've been with them in those moments, right? You can't take those moments back. Right? And so when you've seen that, like, is 1 time too many? Is 2 times too many? Is 3 times too many, right? And you start just asking yourself as it keeps happening, where, you know, it's nothing that you can do, and that's a conclusion I reached after much exhaustion, right, of my own self, where it's like, cool, like, I may not have been able to save the last one, but maybe I can help prevent the next one.
yeah.
And even too, that can be a thing where you can't save everybody, and so you gotta come to these understandings that are healthy balances and boundaries for yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna explode all over again and actually become the next like, if I say victimizer, like, you might become the very monster you're trying not to be.
Yeah,
right?
That's so good.
So
not good, but
self-awareness is
yes.
key.
But I just wonder too, like, I don't know, I think, and I'm thinking this in this very moment, that I think sometimes we're some of us are just born with a different lens, because, like I said, like, for you to be in that situation and completely change your life, and you refuse to be a part of it, and it, like, that was a choice that you made, but so many people wouldn't make that choice.
You're right, and I don't know where it comes from. I can talk up to my inspirations, right? Like I said, I would go just listening to Jay-Z or jazz music, whatever, and just, if I'm listening to an artist, I would just be so captivated by their words, and it's just like, whatever song I was listening to that speaks to my soul at the time, it was just, I felt like it was a message for me to receive, and it's a puzzle for me to figure out, and that's just what kept me going. So when I would have my friends who, you know, struggle with overdosing or whatever it was because they couldn't get through their situations properly, I was always a shoulder to lean on. And when you see yourself being a shoulder to lean on, you don't have time to also partake, right? And that's really what it is. And I found through that is a good answer of, when you don't give yourself time to fail, you don't fail. Like,
That's
it's like it can't be that easy. It's like, yeah, if you got enough time to fail, you probably got too much time on your hands, and you're not doing enough. Like, of what it is that you're supposed to be doing.
All right, interview over. I don't think there needs to be any follow-up.
Yeah, so, I mean, all I can really say is live the life that you really seek to live out. There's nothing stopping you. If you're waiting for permission, you really got to ask yourself permission from who? Like, so many people I find, like, will pause their life because they're like, I gotta wait for, like, the stars to line up, or this to happen, or the right job, or the right boss, and it's like, no. Like, find your stability, but make sure you keep growing.
Yeah.
Like, so many people get complacent in life, and that's the best way to slide backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might be complacent now, like, cool, like, my life is rosy, my life is good, but what happens when hard times come? Like,
yeah,
they're gonna come regardless. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing to either prepare, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, like, financially, anything? Because enjoy the good times while they're here, but don't get so caught up in it that you're just wasting away kind of your life to even help someone else if you can.
Yeah. I love what you said, though, and this is really important, of find your stability, because there is a hierarchy, right? Like, we need shelter. Even if it was your car, like, not saying that flippantly, but that was your...
Under a bridge, the car, like, under Greyhound buses. Like,
there are things that we need to think. Because even though, okay, at first you had shelter, but it was so unstable, you couldn't think there. So you found shelter where you, even though it was not something that we would call, like, what the hell, but you found stability.
Nothing to brag about, but it was enough for me.
And it was, so you set that foundation, and it was shaky, but it was enough for you to then do what you needed to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I wanted to say how important that is, of stability, of, like, your shelter and food and having those basic needs met. Because there was a time I didn't have those met, and I'm like, why am I not moving forward? And then I'm thinking about this, I'm reflecting, I'm looking at the hierarchy of needs, and my basic, so I say hierarchy because it's a pyramid, right? So obviously the bottom part is the biggest, and if I don't have these things, this stable, those parts,
foundation,
I can't do the rest. And so those feelings are valid, because I was beating myself up before I thought about that. I'm like, why am I not moving forward? Why am I doing this? And it's like, no, you
stuck in the cycle.
You don't even have those basic needs met. So I love that you said get yourself stable, because I don't want anyone to listen and think, oh, you should just always be doing all this stuff.
Like magic.
No, your feelings are valid. You are human. You cannot function in, like, it's like a plant or something. You can't grow in certain environments. It's just not possible. So you have to get yourself stabilized.
yeah, that's exactly it. Stabilized and very much grounded, and figuring out, like, as you say, like, figure out what grounds you. It's like, to me, it's pretty simple, but it requires a lot of work to get there for certain. But having your own space that you can call your own, whether that's a room in an apartment, whether that's a whole apartment, for some people as a house, like, whatever it is. But to me, don't be so luxurious in your mind. Like, I need all this stuff, and until I have all this stuff, like, I can't find peace. It's like, no, like, look deeper. Like, you really don't need much space to call yourself, call, like, your space your own. But with that, for sure, as long as you're surrounded by, like, good energy, good people, you're gonna make it out all right.
Yeah.
Also, who you surround yourself with is huge.
It's like, it can be detrimental.
Oh, very much.
Like, seriously, even if they're not talking to you, just being in a space with people who... You
absorb whatever they're putting out.
Oh my gosh.
It's inevitable. Even if you're someone who puts out too, you're still absorbing. Like, that's it. It's just... So you got to be careful. And for me, I'm someone who, I never like to retort or pout out things that are very negative in nature. Mm-hmm. And I'm guilty of doing that for sure in different aspects, but I'm always looking to better myself and make sure, like, well, I'm not putting someone else down. Like, I'm just trying to help or uplift someone, say, hey, maybe think outside the box on these cases, and you too won't feel so miserable. I think sometimes it's how you look at your situation. A lot of people can be in good situations, but because they're negative perspective, they see things in a very negative light, and it's like, all right, well, one root of negativity can kind of make the whole thing more negative than it actually is.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And then something just popped in my brain of, so sometimes we are in the, like, even if you're doing something you like doing, you can still feel stress. And so how do you manage, how do you manage stress?
Stress, keep going.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, it's like, I've been on points where I've been, like, super stressed out, and it doesn't happen often, but, you know, maybe, like, every 6 to 7 months, I'll hit a point where I'm like, all right, like, I need a me day. Otherwise, I really do kind of go, like, 6-7 days a week. Like, I love doing what I do. But a me day, I mean, shoot, I'll go for a hike, I'll play games, I'll watch movies. Like, I'll really do nothing for a good 36, 48 hours even. Even, like, a week at a time. Like, take whatever time you need for yourself, but don't stop.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And sometimes, and everyone's different. Everybody is different. That's the huge thing. Everyone's like, so what, like, Slater, what schedule, what systems? Like, I know what works for me.
Right.
What works for you? What works for you might be from this hour to this hour, you're productive. From this hour to this hour, you're not. And then how your day structured. And cool. Now you can go for 6 months nonstop, maybe. Or maybe you do 5 days a week and 2 days off. Maybe it's 6 days, 1 day off. Like, or maybe it's a 3 and 4 or 2 and 1. Like, whatever it is, make sure you're making progress on what you believe in. Otherwise, like, are you truly happy with your life and where you're at?
And trial and error is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes, very much.
Just because, okay, you read something online or in a book, and you're like, oh, you this is how you're productive. This is how you should do it. You try it,
and you're like,
this is not for me.
It
doesn't mean that you can't be productive or that you can't find your own path. It's like, just try something else.
Yes.
Just keep trying things, and then you'll figure it out.
Yeah. One thing I've seen with people is like, we're so judgmental of ourselves that if we don't fit in a box that someone has created even for themselves, if we don't fit in their box, like, oh, like, I'm terrible, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless, like all that stuff. It's like, no, like, sometimes here, the best thing you can, like, teach someone how to do is how to, like, make things of their own, like, creation, right? So it's like, sometimes it is giving someone the pen and the pencil and like, cool, draw, like, no, you don't gotta live in a box, but sometimes you kind of need a box to start with. So here, let's draw your own box. What does that look like? Like, draw me a box. And just starting with something that you can agree on that say, cool, like, get your building blocks in order. Like, sometimes, like, what I've seen in people is, like, not everyone has the same, like, building blocks and tools to really develop themselves. Not everyone has the same life experiences or same perspectives. And so that's why it's important for us to all help each other.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, not a single one of us can have all the answers. Life's way too big for all that. There's too many things going on.
I just had a spark. It sounds so corny.
No, I mean, go for it. I'm here for it.
But it's like, we really are like snowflakes. Like, no one is the same.
Yes,
like, you just said everybody, like, because we know this, right? Everyone has their own background, their own experiences that shape who they are in the world.
Correct.
But then we try to fit ourselves and compare ourselves to other people, or even because, like, for me, I'll put somebody who wrote a book on self-help on a pedestal. I read the book, and then I can't do what they said in the book, so now I beat myself up. And it's like, no, I'm not, this just didn't work for me. This is probably great. Like, this, like, whoever, like, author blah 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 is dope. Like, that takes nothing away from this person.
For me.
And I'm an individual with my own background, my own experiences, and my own way I see the world. And so that's so, like, I love that. That was like, we really are snowflakes. And we really
yes.
And so we do have to approach our lives in the way that works for us as snowflake.
Yeah, and I said, definitely, I love the snowflake analogy because it's very true. I think the thing that a lot of people pat out, or I haven't seen it so much anymore, but I've seen a lot of things that's over the years, is people try to say my snowflake is more snowflakier than yours.
Ugh.
Once it gets to competition, it's like, all right, hey, you got it. Like, by all means, you're so snowflakey. Here's your own special bubble away from everyone else, and then we're gonna see how well you do. Like, to me, like, life is really that way. Where I'm the type of person that, hey, you want your cake, you can eat it too. Like, I got no problems with that. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Like, it really is that, because I will get you what you ask. And cool, hey, you said this is what you needed. There you go. So make sure that's really what you need, because after this, like that, I did my part to help you out. I'm moving on with my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that. I'm not more snowflakier than you,
Yeah.
Slater, and you're not more snowflakier than
At
me.
all.
We're just different snowflakes.
Yeah, we're trying to
but
do
we're
different things.
together in this avalanche.
Yeah, it's a whole snowball rolling down the mountain. Like at this point, there's billions of us, right? So
Yes.
it's just making this whole spinning ball that we call Earth like work for all of us, and I truly believe it can. I just think a lot of people are really lazy with how they think, or just don't fully apply themselves to what's around them.
Yeah.
And so if I can just play my part in life and kind of help people wake up more, to even just inspire and impact as many people as I can, to say, hey, like, if I can do it, you can do it too. Like, to me, that's everything. Like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
probably my whole life journey to the day I'm like 80 something, and like, you know, so.
I don't have I don't want to be like negative, but I do. That's important that some people, like, we can be lazy in our thinking. Even when I was like, it was exhausting me to think about my values, my new values, or like doing a checkup. I was doing a checkup.
Yeah.
Do these values that I'm living my life by still
Make
work
sense.
for me? Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm not who I was when I set those up. Because we're constantly evolving. But I think it's important to shed a light on lazy thinking and like being almost vegetables, like watching too much TV or too much social media. That can I sound like an old grandma. That turn your brain into mush.
Into pudding. Yeah.
But it does.
It is true. One of my things I did back in 2018 for sure, even 2016, 2017, when I say I unplugged, like I stopped paying attention to a lot of stuff social media, which is funny because I'm an arts manager. I do a lot of things. To me, I pay attention to how people think. When you pay attention to how people think, you know how people move. Social media is just a huge expansion of that. But at the end of the day, it's when you find something you really love, then you gotta work relentlessly towards it to succeed in it. That's gonna look relatively, if I said the same in every aspect, I've seen enough industries, work with enough people to say, like, it doesn't matter what you do, work relentlessly at it. Like, well, what should I do? If you're asking that stuff, you haven't learned enough of what to do, then go to YouTube. Like, there's TikToks now, like, you can see millions of people doing it. Like, well, how do I get started? Google. You even got ChatGPT these days. How do I get started?
Yeah.
That's too complicated. ChatGPT, dumb it down for me.
Right.
Like, we have these tools and resources available to us now that's like, to me, there's no excuse. It really just do it. And I speak it for myself, or this past week I ordered my 2 whiteboards in, so I got huge whiteboards on my walls now to like write, and like I use Milanote, type out all my notes and stuff on my laptop, because I mean I'm gearing up to do my own TikToks, my own YouTube videos where I'm even like planning my content for what feels natural and right for me to do, because while I am busy, I do want to put myself out there.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you want to do in life, like just make sure you study it well and you apply yourself to it. And if you feel like, well, I need $1 million to start, it's like, no, like you just need some work ethics and some grit. Like it's gonna be tough, but make it work. Also, having a great relationship with time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is huge.
I know for me, I guess they're calling it time blocking, but like writing my time out for the whole day for everything I have to do, even if it's like run to the grocery store. Well, I have this amount of time today to do that, or to add in those mundane kind of tasks. But they have to get done, and I still have to eat. Like hello, but I think planning everything out is. You will be. I was shocked at how much I could get done in a day.
Yes.
Where you like, and I even put in. I scheduled playtime because I know I need to get up and dance or go look at some memes or sing a song or something.
Yeah, be you.
Like if 30 minutes for that a few times and like trial and error, and it's a lot of work. But when I like. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, right. Like you ain't wrong, but like sometimes you can freestyle it too. I think. No.
Yeah. You can. Some people work better freestyle.
Yeah.
I need structure.
Yeah.
I'm a structured girl.
I freestyle my structure as I go. Trying better with it, but for sure. I mean, it's just a million things I can talk about, on any of these topics. But all I can say is, live the life you've been given, and if I say really make the most of it, just stop holding yourself back.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing. Figure out what works for you and just write it down.
Keep going. Be relentless.
Yes.
we are running up on time, and I did want to ask, because the whole show is about, you answered all my questions, so
awesome.
except for this one that I wanted to.
Okay. I'm ready.
What does success mean to you?
Man, this is incredible. This is something, I think my answer has not changed on any other question more than it has on what success means to me. I don't think it ever meant money to me, right? It's like you're having $1 bajillion to your name. Like, I don't think at any point ever meant that. But I think the older I get, the more success means to me is like seeing your dreams come true for sure, seeing the happiness in your life kind of blossom with the people that you love. I've definitely seen it where you can succeed on your own, and succeeding means, achieve a goal. Like, hey, I did it, and now like I'm here, and you're very like lonely at the mountaintop, right? Like if you're the only one who did it, whoop-de-doo, and it very quickly comes out, and that, hey, if that's you, by all means let that be you. For me, I like to surround myself with the people I love, to see them all succeed and blossom, because I know we can do more. I know we can have family. I know we can have, if I said everything that we didn't have growing up, like, that's just what it becomes. Success becomes, your image. And so for me, I guess success very much looks like a family picture that isn't just everyone smiling, but at least everyone loving and knowing each other. Like, to me, that's something that I never really had. And so as I get older, like, that's definitely what success starts becoming more of.
Yeah.
Seeing your dreams come to life. And if you can help create that for other people, I think that also just like cherry on top with the whole whipped cream and icing on the cake. So,
yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I have a million questions, but I don't have any more. I think we covered what we can cover today. Do you have anything else?
No, Selena, this was incredible. Like, I'm so happy to be on the You Plus Happy podcast. Like, it's been an incredible experience. When you reached out to me, I was like, yes. Like, I'm someone whose schedule is very packed. So when I tell someone, like, yeah, I'll get to you in like a month from now, like, it's such a hard ask, but that's realistically what my life is becoming. And it's very exciting. So thank you for having me.
I get it, and I'm happy for you that that's happening. You're booked and busy.
Yeah.
That's what you work towards to have. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your time with me and inspiring our listeners to redefine success for themselves. And thank you, listeners. Remember to like, comment, and share this episode. Please leave a review. I really appreciate your feedback. And please, please, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I really, really appreciate it. See you next week. And we asked our guests to say the tagline, which is, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Okay, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Yay! Thank you, Slater.
Thank you, Slater. That was awesome.
It was so good, so much wisdom.